All right, ladies and gentlemen, Thursday again. For all those people who aren't paying attention to their calendar, that means we have another edition of the MSP Initiative Live. Today we have special guest on for the first time, Brian from Nuvolex, and we'll give him an opportunity to introduce himself in a second. But let's get a couple of housekeeping items out of the way. As always, we'll get them, in now. We have the Channel Strong Tour coming up next week. So for anyone in the Midwest, great opportunity to get out and see other people in your other MSPs in your area and other vendors who are literally getting on a bus and driving to you in your backyard. No planes, no trains, no buses. Come out, grab a beer, grab a sandwich, learn a little, talk a little, walk away with some cool vendor swag while you're at it. So here's the schedule. Nashville, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Chicago, Grand Rapids, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cincinnati, Indianapolis. That's not in one day. It's across 2 work weeks, 5 days per week, as you know. So those are the 10 cities over the next 2 weeks. If you're in anywhere near these areas and you're willing to drive out for a couple hours, in late afternoon, definitely come out and let us know. You can scroll to the bottom of this page and request an invite, and we will hook you up as long as you're an MSP in those areas. And you can see all of the people that are traveling on the rolling vehicle. So definitely come out and say hello. Last thing I want to say is we have all vendors participate in a monthly giveaway. All you got to do is enter to win. So you see there's 10 prizes this month. All you got to do is come here and throw your name in the hat. Got to enter to win. If you don't buy the lottery ticket, can't win the Powerball. So all of that out of the way. Now we can get back to our special guest. Brian, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on board. So I usually start these with, hey, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, maybe your journey through the technology land, right? How did you get started? How did you get to today? Why did you start? Why are you where you're at, kind of thing? Give us the why, as many people say, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty stuff after we get through that.
Cool. Yeah, actually, it's an interesting story because the company actually kind of started by accident. It's not something I really was looking to do. My background is in a different industry than IT, quite frankly. I had almost zero experience in IT. My background is semiconductors, semiconductor design software, nothing related to IT.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. So how in the hell did I get here, right? So let me tell you the story because I think it's an interesting one. One of my wife's friends that she played sports with, I got to know her husband. Really good guy. He was actually an MSP in the Bay Area and the San Francisco Bay Area. And I had been involved in tech my whole career, graduated with an engineering degree, all that kind of stuff. And I had done my first startup. And it was one of these startups where an incredible amount of technology for chip design software and a lot of crazy stuff we did in silicon. But it was one of these technologies that was just way too ahead of its time, right? It was some research out of all places, Greece. And we took the research and the IP and the core team and tried to build a product around it, but the world wasn't ready. It was just really, really advanced technology. And so I had to shut that company down. And this guy, Gregory, who I knew from my wife's friend, her husband, he reached out to me one night. He said, "Look, you're in startups and tech. Can we get together and talk to you about a problem I have in my own business?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Go grab dinner." Pretty harmless. And so we had dinner over in Campbell, California, just kind of near San Jose, at some restaurant. And he goes, "Let me tell you about my business. I'm an MSP." And I literally, honestly, I could not describe to you really what an MSP was or what you guys did. I was pretty naive because it just wasn't my world. He said, "We have these IT administrators where we have this business. We're like an outsourced IT, organization. And for the large organizations, like Nike and GE and these bigger companies, they have their own IT staffs. But kind of the SMB market, the small and medium businesses, they don't necessarily take on that whole task on their own. A lot of them will outsource to guys like us. And so, I'm just following along like, yeah, okay, makes sense. And he said, in our business, what we do today, and this was back in like 2013, 2014, he said, we provide this outsourced IT support. We manage, their on-premise hardware, software. We'll put people on site. And literally, he's given me an education about the business. And he goes, pretty good living, because not only do we provide, support through these resources, we also resell them hardware and software and some pretty big ticket items. And he said it's a pretty good business. And I said, okay, so far it sounds great. What's the problem? Why are we here? Why are we talking? He goes, about cloud computing. And I said, yeah, I kind of somewhat, paid attention to it, but it's because it's not my space. My brain is focused in other areas. He goes, well, it's basically going to change how everybody does business, how everybody consumes technology. And he said, quite frankly, there is a chance that could put me out of business and many others like me if we don't transition our business to going from, managing, helping manage on-prem hardware, software, to managing the cloud. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty significant, help me understand. He said, well, look, this whole concept of reselling hardware and software, he says, it's going away. He goes, cloud is not about that. Cloud is a utility. And he said, these are applications that we no longer drop into organizations. They exist in the ether, right? They're, wherever they are, virtual. Mm-hmm. And it goes from, reselling the stuff to finding a way to kind of transact and deliver on a utility. And how do we create value as a service provider when no longer we're needing to put people on site, we're no longer, managing infrastructure and all these applications, because they're all managed, through the infrastructure of the providers. And he said, we're going to figure that out. And he was pretty serious about it. He's kind of one of these guys who jokes around and goes, we will die if we don't figure this out. And it really was kind of that aha moment. And when we first talked to me, he wanted me to, work with him and be kind of that person to help him brainstorm of how do you transition MSP to back in the day when it wasn't even a thing. I mean, we're talking like 2015, 2016 to a cloud service provider, a CSP, right? And so we started working around that. And I literally never forget, it was one afternoon, we were on a whiteboard and we were talking about this vision of CSP and managing cloud and everything. And I remember turning to him because he wanted to transition his MSP to be a CSP. And I said, help me understand, is this problem unique to you or is it endemic across the globe with every service provider that exists? And he said to me, he goes, this is everywhere. This is across the globe, all sizes service provider, smallest, MSP to the SIs to everybody. He said, this is a massive problem. It's going to be a massive transformation that happens. And I remember I said to him, why don't we build a platform for every service provider to help them make this transition to allow them to very easily deliver and manage all things cloud. And, at the time he said, look, I really want to focus on my MSP business, and figure out how to transition. I'm like, I want to go build a platform. And that's really when the concept of Nuvolex started. And that was back in like 2015. And so you got, this concept of cloud and platform to deliver on cloud managed services for MSPs, SIs, all these people. It was just me at the time with the concept, but I met one of his guys, Josh, who's now our PM, has been with me ever since. He was a, 10, 12-year admin at the time. And he basically sat on a help desk, managed a help desk, worked with, senior IT. And he and I met while, I was working over at my buddy's MSP shop. And he kind of one day, he goes, hey, what are you doing? He goes, and I told him, I said, I've got this idea for, a platform, da-da-da. And I started talking about the vision. He goes, that's really interesting. He said, can I help? And I said, well, what do you want to help with? He goes, I think I know what you got to go build. And I was like, well, why do you think you know what we got to go build? He goes, because I live that pain every single day. You know, I'm the one that takes those incoming calls from the customers, from the users. I'm the one that has to jump around into different admin portals to do remediation. I'm the one that has to respond in you know, so we're making sure we're exceeding our SLAs. And so, you know, there's tremendous complexity, and I know how I want to have it solved. And I literally, I mean, I told you my background, I had no clue. And I said, well, look, seeing as though I don't really know much of anything about this space, and you do, you know, come and join me. And that's really when we went from a concept to we knew what we had to go do. And so we start on the path, down this path. And, you know, the first thing we said is, you know, it was really started out just, you know, how do we serve service providers? And like anything else, you know, I started to learn about the difference between, you know, MSP serving SMBs and SIs. I'm like, man, you know, how about we go sell to SIs? That sounds really cool. They deal with Fortune 500s and pretty sexy, probably billions of dollars, that whole thing. Well, it looks great until you get close to it and you understand what you're asking for, right? And so when we start talking to these major SIs and even some enterprises, they just hadn't got their head around transitioning to the cloud. Whether it's their SaaS applications, infrastructure, it was still all about on-prem. Mm-hmm. But we kept hearing noise from kind of the MSPs and the SMB channels saying, look, we're moving to 365. We're starting to sell and having to manage all this stuff. Come and help us. So it took a while for us to get through our heads that, you know what, the pain wasn't really at the enterprise today or with the SIs. It was really with the smaller service providers managing SMBs. But I think the benefit of going down that path of working with SIs and dealing with enterprises, we built a lot of pretty significant automation in terms of managing the cloud. And today, M365 and Azure, but our vision is so far beyond that. That really benefited us when we went out to, you know, the managed service provider community. So we got a lot out of the time we spent talking to large organizations. And it really is reflected in some of the product that we build and a lot of the service automation we did. And so, you know, then we went from there and circled back and realized the MSP was where we should be focused on. We first started with Exchange, which is an absolute beast when you're doing what we do, because the whole backend is PowerShell. And when you talk about automation, I mean, there's some tremendous complexity in dealing with PowerShell, and it is just, it's not REST-based. It's you guys know better than me. It's a beast. And so we had to learn how to do batch automation around PowerShell and not break things. And it took us a long time. And as we started bringing our platform out to people, they just wanted more. They said, that's great. What about SharePoint? What about OneDrive, Teams, Intune, you know, the whole thing. And so it's just build and build and build to where we were at today, which is that single pane of glass administration portal that heavily automates provisioning, deprovisioning, daily administration across the entire Microsoft stack. So long story, 100% accurate story, completely started by accident, and here we are today.
It's very intriguing. So let me ask you this question. You coming from a completely separate industry, did you even, like, where did you understand, like, yeah, I got bits and pieces of it, but like, did you see the actual scalability, right? Because there's an interesting dichotomy where, to your point, right? Like internal IT, larger corporations, right? Like they have a similar challenge, right? They may have a couple more people in the mix and they may have a lot more people to manage within their organization, but there's a lot, you know, like the SMB space, right? I don't know what's your definition of SMB? What, like, everybody has a different number of how many people, you know, qualify as an SMB within a company.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's up to a few hundred, maybe 500. You know, when I think of enterprise, I think of the thousands to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. But, you know, the thing that I liked about what we learned and built that allows literally the largest MSPs serving the largest enterprise organizations is just the level of automation we built into the platform. Like on our platform, you literally can take any number of users and assign them any number of licenses and attributes with a couple mouse clicks. You know, you can set top level policy and security settings across 10, 50, 100, 500 tenants, a couple of mouse clicks. So we built an incredible amount of service automation based on basically taking the worst case scenario. What is the worst, biggest, most complex organization we would possibly have to manage. And how do we do that with simple mouse clicks with an incredible amount of service organization? If you build to manage small, low complexity organizations, you can't scale up. But if you build large for large, complex global organizations, it's pretty easy to scale back. And that's what we did. So there are things on our platform that, some of them may be smaller service providers managing not a lot of customers and users. It's overkill, to be honest. It's overkill. And that's why we bifurcate our product offering to different areas. And we're kicking around some new product SKUs that might be really interesting to what I call that long tail of the MSP market. But yeah, if you design for worst case, delivering anything less than worst case is a hell of a lot easier.
No, fair enough. So obviously, it was very helpful for you, right? That you had somebody who came from an MSP, right? I mean, that
was critical. I mean, we all say that our platform was built by an MSP for MSPs, and it's a really powerful thing, and it's really true. I mean, honestly, it's really true. And we love, the thing I really love, and I didn't know MSPs from a hole in the wall, and I just didn't have any experience. But what I realized is that MSPs are no different than us. They're just entrepreneurs building small businesses, trying to stay alive, trying to make a bunch of money, trying to be profitable. And I think that gives someone like me or Nuvolex, who is a startup, just a great appreciation of what they're going through. And one of the things early on in dealing with MSPs, everybody's super cost conscious, because what we do is some MSPs have been able to position it as a sell through, but a lot of MSPs treat it as a sell to, or it's something they consume. It's something that costs them money. So they're very sensitive to cost, and when we first rolled the platform out, one of the things that's kind of interesting in how you price product, we were like, we're going to price on a per user managed on a monthly basis, blah, blah, blah. And, Pax8 was the first partner that embraced us, and they saw it, and they will be forever grateful to them because they put us on the map. And I remember the conversation because we rolled out with this per user pricing, and we got a tremendous amount of interest from partners. And then they saw the pricing model, and they all stood on the sideline. And I was like, I don't get it. Why aren't these guys moving? They're all really interested. And one of the head of product over at Pax8, this guy, Ryan Burton, really good guy. He said to me, dude, your pricing model's wrong. And I'm like, what are you talking about? My pricing model's wrong. He goes, well, these MSPs, right? They're trying to deliver service. What they want to do is, as much as possible, fix their service delivery cost. And as they grow their business, they want to grow their margin. They want to grow their revenue. They want to grow profitability, help them just grow as an organization. If every time they grow their customer base and their user managed base, your price goes up, they can't achieve that. And I literally got an argument with him. I'm like, my technology is the best thing since, typical, right? Like everybody does, right? He goes, dude, change your pricing model. Change your pricing model. And I reluctantly changed it to admin-based pricing. And from that point forward, it's just, I don't care how many tenants, how many users. The goal is, I know this platform can allow you to manage 3 to 5 times as many customers as you can using us than not using us, using the Microsoft portal. And the attitude we have now is, look, yeah, could we make more money? 100%. Absolutely could make more money. But if we're working with partners and helping them make more money and helping them grow their business and be more profitable, this is how you create loyalty in your customer base. And so this has been our attitude from that point forward. So really, the Pax8 guys helped us see, and Ryan helped us see it, and now for us, there's always, you want to, it's like you don't make as much money, but if you can make it across a lot more partners, the math works out. So now it's about distribution, getting your brand out there, getting your product out there, and just.
So all right, let's zoom out for a second. So you charge per admin, right? You could have 1 billion users, but if there's only one guy pressing the buttons, that's how you're billing to that person.
How we're billing.
Okay. And then obviously 365 is SKU based, it's user based. Like everybody understands,
sure,
business standard, business premium, E135, and then all the other SKUs that kind of bubble up to the top. Right. But then Azure is a whole different can of worms.
Sure. So in our platform, and it's M365, but we also do Azure Management. When I say Azure Management, the current incarnation of Azure Management is really all around VM management. The people who are generally users of our platform it's the primary user, I would say, are service desk admins. And the concept behind the platform is, we're not trying to be a better Microsoft admin portal. That makes no business sense for so many reasons, right? Our vision is so far beyond Microsoft in terms of multi-tenant, multi-service management. Microsoft is just table stakes. You better do Microsoft well if you play in this category, but then you go beyond that. And the thinking is, just philosophically, how we think about Nuvolex is, we're trying to deliver to service providers, MSPs, SIs, a platform that allows their service desk admins to remediate a majority of the service requests that come into the help desk. The more that those admins are able to remediate at the help desk and not escalate to senior IT, the more profitable your service is going to be, because these are your least expensive IT resources. And the more productive they are, the more money you're going to make. And so what we think about is, across all the most popular SaaS or infrastructure workloads, what are the most common service requests that come in, and heavily automate remediation of those. So there are requests that may come into the service desk that are just more advanced, policy or security things or what have you, that aren't common recurring daily requests that come into your desk. You're going to still escalate those. Your senior people will still leverage the portals of the applications they have to use to go remediate those service requests, whether it's Exchange, SharePoint, whatever, or when we go beyond Microsoft. But what you're trying to do is make your service desk admins, that level, that L1, L2, is hyper efficient as possible. And if they are, and they're able to remediate requests with button clicks, they can manage tons more customers. And then instead of investing in IT resources, go invest in sales and marketing. Add more headcount, do more digital spend, to build the brand and grow your pipeline, versus adding IT people. Our attitude is, man, you should not have to add a bunch of IT admins. Automation is what you need to leverage, so you can invest in money that's going to help drive the top of the funnel.
So what's the next, so obviously Microsoft, obviously Azure, there's a lot of other apps. I mean, a ton. I mean, actually, it's been a while, right? Because obviously nobody went to conferences and events for a bit. But the last time that was happening in a large way, 2019 probably, the last time I had heard, the average 50 to 100 person organization has something like 30 SaaS apps when they go back and figure it out, right? Could be QuickBooks Online, could be Slack, could be Gmail, Google Apps, OneDrive, Dropbox.
Can I share a screen?
Yeah, share away.
Give me a second. Hopefully this doesn't blow up on me.
Yeah.
Host disabled participant screen share.
Okay, hold on. I can fix that. Actually, Sade, can you fix that on your side? Yeah, she's pressing the buttons.
Cool. Just yell when she's good.
Yeah.
By the way, it's interesting that I'm talking to George today.
Go for it. Go for it.
Let's see here. Tell me when you can see my screen.
There it is. It's coming.
Can you see that?
I see it now.
Cool. So basically, this is who we are and what we look like today. So managing all these, workloads across the Microsoft stack. By the way, we also manage, in the same pane of glass, we can manage OnPrem AD as well as Azure AD.
That's good, because I'm sure it's still out there. I mean, I know everything's going cloud, but
it's a ton. It's actually shocking, because this was never intended for the MSP serving SMBs. It was an enterprise thing that we built, and it's amazing how many MSPs leverage this capability we have on the platform. So basically, in the same pane of glass, you can manage across the entire Microsoft Cloud Work Stack, and you can manage on-prem identities or Azure AD identities, all one single pane of glass, complete administrative access control, auditing, everything. So this is what we do today, but this is exactly where we're headed.
Wow.
And let me tell you why this is doable, very doable from our perspective. The complexity is not here as you expect it would be. I mean, look, there's some work. Who's kidding? There's work to do. But, you know, a lot of these applications are all REST-based APIs and very simple to tap into. Honestly, the magic is here at the top. To be able to build a multi-tenant, multi-service management platform, managing hybrid identities, doing batch automation across workloads, this has taken us years to build. It's tremendously complex. And, you know, we've been at it for quite some time with the Microsoft stack, and there's nothing harder than integrating the Microsoft stack and making that work all properly. But this is doable. This is extremely doable. And again, it's not, we're not trying to be like Okta. We're going to integrate 6,000 SaaS applications. We want all the core categories and all the leading applications within that category and remediate the most common service requests across those workloads, across those categories. Extremely doable. This is what we're focused on the second half of this year, starting to build this out. So for us, it's pretty exciting because this, to me, is, you know, we talk about it as, you know, where the market's headed. You know, we kind of throw around phrases like RMM 2.0, cloud RMM, cloud management. This is where the market's headed. And if you can automate provisioning, deprovisioning, daily administration through, you know, monitoring, alerting, auditing on a single pane of glass like that, it's a pretty significant platform.
I mean, but single pane of glass, I mean, we've heard this marketing term for 20 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if everybody actually got there.
No, I mean, there's no one here today. We've already done that piece. Now it's time to add these components.
Yeah.
And then once you add backup in terms of the things you remediate for backup service, you know, how different is one backup to the other, right? Again, think about your service desk. Think about the L1, L2s in your organization that are trying to quickly remediate service requests, you know, through mouse clicks. This is what we do. We call it user lifecycle management or user-centered administration. So today, a lot of people do administration based on the application, centered around the application. I get a service request. I go into the application, go to the admin portal, remediate that. Every single admin portal is different for every single workload. You know, access control is completely different across every workload. We're unifying not only administration, but administrator access. That's what we do.
So obviously this is tuned to the service desk. What about, you know, the HR department? What about the MSPs that are working in a hybrid model, you know, with what they say co-managed, right? Where there's actually an inside IT department where they back them up. Like,
you can do it on a platform today. You can actually give customer admin access rights and control what the end customer could actually do. We have MSPs using a co-managed model today. Also today, like in an HRIS system, like let's suppose you add a new employee from an HRIS system and you drop them into an OU and on-prem AD. What will happen is that new user will be automatically dropped into OU in Nuvolex and automatically assign whatever licenses and attributes that are tied to that with a simple mouse click.
Nice.
This platform is really powerful. Now, I would argue that
so you can templatize.
It's all already done. OU-based management. It's a pretty rich platform. Like I said, we were building this for enterprise, so we built a lot of advanced functionality. And truly, like if you're an MSP managing, you know, 20 customers and maybe a total of 200 users, you're not going to use a bunch of this stuff. But there's some things in our platform you'll absolutely use, like, you know, setting policies and security settings across tenants with a couple mouse clicks because it's all templatized. Or, you know, hey, I want to assign 30 users a new license. You can do that with a couple mouse clicks. I want to change the password of this on-prem, you know, user for this tenant, and then tenant 2, I have to change the password from this user in Azure AD for this particular tenant. Done on this platform, a couple mouse clicks.
So I got Frank who's raising his hand. Frank, I'm going to let you pipe in. Go ahead and unmute yourself when you're ready and ask your question or put your thoughts in. Let's hear what you got. Probably wasn't even expecting that. He raised his hand. He's like, oh, wow. Being added into the conversation. Well, you're muted, Frank. So whenever you're ready, unmute. In the meantime,
yeah, look, I mean, quite honestly. Sorry, guys. I found the unmute button.
There you go.
So it's like this is fascinating to me because I'm a MSP with, like not a big MSP, just small, right?
Mhm.
And I love the pricing model because that's me, right? And
By the way, I fought against that pricing model.
what's that?
Apparently, Ryan
I
Burton.
fought tooth
Ryan
and nail
Burton
that pricing model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I
it's
finally succumbed to it.
like I use like data backup and Sophos on the endpoint security. So like I think like this is kind of like what I've been looking for to make my life way easier. And we manage, of course, Office 365 and getting more and more into Azure now. So like, wow, sign me up, I guess.
Well, and in full disclosure too, like we don't have these today on the platform right today.
Yeah, I got that.
But I'm telling you,
going there.
this is extremely doable. It's just a body issue, right? I'm at the point now where I got to go raise more money to add more bodies because we're getting hammered by partners to like get me this platform. So it's exciting for us, right? Because we envisioned this thing a long time ago, and we're talking to partners, and they're like, deliver this, just go deliver this. So it's really cool. And like I said, the other thing that we're excited about, Frank, is the fact that we truly believe we can impact the business for these MSPs across the globe. We really believe we can help them become incredibly profitable. And it's a very difficult decision. I joke about the pricing, but at the end of the day, as much as we'd like to make as much money as anyone else for the product we sell, I'm really trying to find that balance of charging enough per partner and hoping that the partners that adopt and use our platform and are successful, they just tell other partners about us. And so the more partners we can get on the platform, we can build our revenue base, and it'll allow us to just keep investing and building. Because for us, what excites us is not the selling part, it's the building, it's delivering on this vision. That to us is like super, super exciting. And the fact that we broke our pick on Microsoft, and it was very, very difficult to do because it's really complex. We've proven to ourselves that the rest of it is just super doable. So we're really excited to get, to this vision. And we're just, it's not a quantum leap. It really isn't. But this is.
So how long is it going to take you to add all the non-Microsoft stuff? Is there a roadmap, timeline, ballpark?
Yeah, we have a detailed roadmap that we have, and then we're putting together product plans based on accelerating this picture. But the first thing that we're going to do is establish the categories of backup and CRM and endpoint security. Just hit all those core categories. Once you get the first vendor on the platform, adding the other ones is going to be a lot easier, because whenever you establish it, let's take endpoint like Bitdefender, right? Whenever we'll create that endpoint offering on our platform, and then there'll be certain things that you're going to be able to do with someone like Bitdefender on our platform. And then once you create that UI, UX, that whole experience from an end user perspective of the platform, adding other workloads, it's pretty straightforward stuff, right? Because it's kind of a rinse and repeat methodology from a design perspective, from a platform design perspective. So look, this is where the market needs to go. This is what, ultimately partners are asking for I think they're asking for from their RMM vendors. And we've talked to so many partners that said, just give me this and I can dump my RMM tools, which, look, RMM guys are amazing. They built an incredible business.
I think even Intune, like, it's definitely a lot further along than it was even probably a year ago or a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. But I still think that, like, the RM, like, there's still laptops and desktops, physical on-prem devices, 100%. And
I truly believe there's going to be a hybrid model.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
They clearly stopped where they should have continued, and obviously there was room for you to come in and build this, right? You got to think that they got to understand that if they don't do something on their side to do some meshing, that they're going to run into a brick wall at some point in the future.
Now they all see it. Trust me, they all see it. Now they're trying to just figure out how to, create that hybrid environment, to your point. But it's easier for someone like us to go do this because we're laser focused, right? That's all we care about. We think about, multi-service management across all things public cloud, right? And that's all we do. You think about it, like you're going from an RMM vendor who's managing infrastructure devices to someone like us who's all about user lifecycle management.
Yeah.
Right. And, it's even this platform, as big as it looks, there are other components that really enrich what I consider the holistic, cloud management offering. I mean, you get guys like SaaS Alerts. I don't know if you know SaaS Alerts, Jim Lippy,
Yep, Jim Lippy,
from
yeah.
Kaseya. Great guy. He's building a great company around, SaaS monitoring and alerting. I mean, that in and of itself is a product that needs focus. And then you get Derek Belair over at Augment. They're doing some great stuff around, multi-SaaS consumption and optimization, all kinds of analytics. Again, another great startup with great technology. So we look at what Jim does in his company, what we do in user lifecycle management, and then what Derek and Augment does. I mean, to me, these components are the future of I guess cloud management, SaaS management, however you want to call it.
Sounds like you should put it all together, put a rubber band around it.
That would
But,
be pretty incredible.
what happens when you go to assign a user and the licensing at that particular vendor, app, whatever you want to call it, doesn't exist, right? You ran out of licenses. Does there
Oh,
no?
our platform won't let you assign a license. It'll automatically trigger you saying you got to go buy more licenses.
Oh, so it'll go do that for you.
Yep, automatically.
Nice. And does
Again,
it,
this is one of these things where we've been doing this for years, and they're like, "Well, your platform just crapped out on us because we tried to assign a license that didn't exist." We're like, maybe we should add a function. I mean, this is how it happens,
will
right?
it cancel the license once it's not in use? That way you're not sitting on extra licenses.
It'll tell you what licenses are in use. Absolutely. I mean, what we don't do, and what everyone asks us to do, and that's one of the reasons why we just need to grow. There's so much we need to build, but we don't have an incredibly rich, reporting. We do some basic reporting today off across Microsoft, but we're going to obviously do reporting across there. But there's a lot of guys, and I think that's kind of where the Augment guys pick up too, and even guys like Paxseed are getting into this, which is giving them more visibility on what's going on in terms of licenses that are used, licenses that can be repurposed, all that kind of stuff across workloads. And it really, when you think about management of the cloud, I say cloud, I mean RMM 2.0, whatever you want to call it, there's so many things to do. And, to try and do them all, to me, is not realistic. I mean, if I look at what I have here being Nuvolex and the work I need to do, I got plenty of work just focusing on, user lifecycle management, onboarding, offboarding, daily administration. I got plenty of work to do. Jim has plenty of work to do. Derek has plenty of work to do. We've all got a lot of work to do, to build that core technology, but then integrate it across all these SaaS applications.
So some of the people that are already working with you, right? And again, you said you deal with the small guy, right? And Frank's like, hey, I'm a small guy. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
And
no.
all the way up to the guys that are probably doing tens of thousands of users. What's the 1, 2, 3, the top couple of things that they said immediately solved the problem, immediately saved them time?
So there's a number of things that we do. The hybrid identity management people love, because
Why
they're
don't you explain that?
Yeah, so basically, if you have, say you have 20 tenants, half of the tenants, their user identities are stored on-prem in AD, and the other half they're stored in Azure AD. Your service desk admin doesn't need to go into on-prem AD and make any changes. They do it all from Nuvolex. They don't even know. Well, they know, but they don't need to know anything about where the identity is stored of that user or those users in the particular tenant. Just go in our portal and say, change the password. That's it. Our platform has the intelligence to know where that identity is stored and how to manage that identity. That's one thing. And then another thing that we do is batch automation. Like if you want to take a bunch of users and say you're onboarding a bunch of users and you want to assign them a bunch of licenses and attributes, you can set up that profile, and in a mouse click, you can literally assign 100,000 users with all different license types and attributes that are associated with those licenses in like a couple of mouse clicks. And that's serious, no lie. You can actually do that. And then the identity, tenant level settings, like enable MFA, do all these different settings at the tenant level across multiple tenants, create, policies or templatize them. So you can basically take a tenant that you onboarded and drop them into a bucket, and they'll automatically get all these top level settings automatically assigned to them just by throwing them in a particular bucket. These are the kind of things that people get super excited about.
Wow. As far as like, can you manage this from a mobile device? Is it just a web page? Like, how easy is it? Could you maybe even show us the simple interface view?
Yeah, let me give me 1 second. Get 87,000 pitch decks.
Yeah, no, we all got to 80,000 tabs. I'm right there.
Oh my God, I'm telling you.
Keep on buying faster computers so that I can leave the tabs open, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Okay, let me reshare. Give me a second.
Sure.
Just tell me when you can see the screen.
Coming up. All right, got it.
So, this is just what the product looks like, and I'm kind of I don't know how to describe myself. I'm pretty anal about this stuff. Like UI UX to me is just as important as what you build under the hood, right? My goal at some point down the road is to just update the user experience, update the UI. I think it could be more updated, but from a UX perspective, and when I say UI, it's like, what does it look like visually? How is it represented? UX is, for those, and because we're talking MSPs, most guys know this because there's a technical crowd, but if I click a button, where do I go? Why is it logical that when I need to go somewhere to do something, that these buttons, tied together, and when you click them, they actually get you to where you need to go? Because our attitude is it's great to have a platform that's powerful in terms of functionality, but if it's not intuitive, there's a limit to adoption, right? It slows down adoption. And we take a lot of pride that we can not only deliver a platform as powerful as it is, but the speed with which you can get up and running and start being productive. And that's equally as important to us. So, this is basically the look and feel of the platform. When I talk about multi-tenant management, that's one of the things when people get excited about is when you're on our platform, when you onboard a tenant, when you're managing, you're just literally jumping from tenant to tenant to tenant in simple mouse click. So within a second, less than a second, you go from one customer to the other customer. You just start doing administration. That's one issue. The second is the hybrid identity that we talked about. Again, we can manage, on-prem AD. We can manage multiple domains, which is again an enterprise thing. So if you have multiple domains, you can manage them right on our platform. And then this is the what we call multi-tenant SuperClick, which is all the policy and security setting across tenants. And look, if anybody on this podcast or this actually live feed is interested, just reach out to sales at Nuvolex, and we can take them through a deep dive of the platform. But so that's kind of the product. What it
that
looks
was going
like.
to be at one point the question, right? How do people find you? But hey, that's good. Sales.
Yeah, or go on our website, and it actually, people can go on the website. Just go to the bottom of our landing page, and there's like a 2-minute teaser video, and it'll talk to you. And the guy narrating is Josh. He's the product manager. He's my partner in crime. And
Nice.
Sean runs sales. So you'll be probably talking to Sean. But yeah, go to the website landing page and watch the video at the bottom.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So is there any terms? How how long does it take to onboard this thing? Like,
I mean, literally, when you onboard, you're basically, you're creating admins. Well, for your onboard tenants, right? So you go through an onboard process, and then when you're onboarding a tenant, you select what services the Microsoft stack that they're consuming that tenant, and then once you onboard your tenants, then you set up all your admins, and you can control access rights to admins. You can literally set up. We have pretty advanced role-based access controls on our platform. You can literally set up any one or hundreds of admins to only manage a certain number of tenants. They can manage, if it's a large organization, you can even control the OUs that they manage within an organization. You can even control administrative access down to the administrative action that they can perform. And so what you could do, like as an example, in the shared model, we talked about the shared model, I could actually, as a Nuvolex user of the platform, give my customer access rights and only allow them to reset passwords. On our platform. And so when they log in, the only function that they could see is reset password. The only users they could see is from their tenant.
It's beautiful. Multi-tenant in its best.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure there's some sort of auditing, right? So you can see
everything, every single action is tracked. who did it, what did they do, when did they do it. The only thing we haven't done, and there's some really bright guys out there in the MSP world, just giving us all kinds of interesting ideas, like auto rollback. We haven't kind of formally done that yet, but if you use our SuperClick engine, you can actually batch roll back all actions pretty quickly. So it's kind of a middle step. I mean, there's a million things, literally a million things we can. This thing just doesn't end. Like, I don't see any end in sight for this platform. It's just ongoing.
So is this month to month? You got to sign up for a year? I mean, obviously month to month. Okay.
Our attitude is, you know what? If we don't do our job, we should hold a gun to your head to be on our platform.
Sure.
So the onus is on us.
And obviously,
that's how MSPs build, right? So
100%, yeah. And the minimum's like one user, right? One admin.
Yeah. So that's Nuvolex.
Wow. So, are you self-funded? You got some outside investors? Like, what's the everybody always asks.
Yeah, we've raised some angel money, but I mean, honestly, we're truly at the point where I got to scale. I just got to get bigger. I got to do more. So I'm actually getting ready to go out and raise more money, more institutional money. Ideally, if I had my way, I'd love to bring in about $5 million and really, really ramp up the dev team. Sales and marketing, obviously, digital spend and things like that. But I need to build this. I need to deliver on this. I know the market wants it, is ready for it. I got to go deliver it for these MSPs. They're all saying the same thing, get this product out. And, the cool thing is, whenever we sign up a new partner, we all tell them the same thing. We say, look, I want you to be vocal. Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't care, but I want to hear from you. What do you like? What sucks? What do we need to fix? How do we improve this? We've come up with some really great innovation thanks to partners that are vocal. Some really great stuff. And it's cool because, like I said, we're entrepreneurs, they're entrepreneurs. We're all trying to just move the needle forward. We're trying to build and scale our businesses and make money, trying to put the kids through school, pay the mortgage. We're the same group. We do different things, but the DNA is very similar, And so we try to build a product that really moves the needle for the people we sell to. And we can always do better. We can always do better. There's always things. I mean, I'm kind of a pain in the ass about the product stuff. Like I'm a pain in the ass with it because I just want the very best product possible out there. And, I think we've come a long way, but we still got so much to do. So.
Now, if you expose this to your end customer with the permissions that you talked about, is it white labelable? Can the partner put their logo on it?
Yeah, you can white label this actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and the cool thing about white label is, I talked to some of the partners that are more kind of progressive. It's like, what if you run into a bigger customer that doesn't necessarily want to outsource management, but they want a platform to manage? Sell them a platform. Yeah,
absolutely.
Like I said, I don't want to hire salespeople. I want to hire dev guys to build this. If the MSPs can, use our product, deliver managed service, and find a way to resell our product to their customers who don't want to outsource, but they need the platform, they're making money, we're making money. I get to spend in more dev guys to build more stuff. I think it works for everybody. So,
wow, real interesting background and real interesting vision. I mean, ultimately, the Microsoft stuff's there today. It sounds like. Yeah, and I mean, that's a big part of everybody's world, but in MSP land. I know it's not everything, but it's a big part.
It opens the door, right? And like I said, don't think of us as a better Microsoft admin portal because we're not. No one will ever keep up with Microsoft. If you have this vision, this is then you care about what we're doing. And I think a lot of MSPs, in the conversations we have, Microsoft is important. But most of the guys we have are looking beyond Microsoft. They want to be a more holistic provider. And I think if you're just an MSP that's just selling Microsoft, you got to sit there and ask yourself, how much value can you bring your customers if you're just reselling Microsoft and you're not thinking or looking beyond that? Because, I mean, there's a lot of great best-in-class products out there, right? And as an MSP, and again, I'm learning every day about this world. They look at you as being the expert. They look at you as a person that's going to advise them on what are the best technologies to use for the all these different categories, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Teams is great, but you know what? For you guys, I think you should seriously consider Zoom or Slack or look at Sentinel-1 for endpoint security or someone like Bitdefender, because they have a really great product. And as soon as you do that and you sell that, you got to manage it. You got to manage it. That's your job. So how do I do it cost effectively? How do I do it with my lowest cost resources? How am I efficient, exceeding SLAs to the point where I can grow my business because my speed of remediation is so great that I can just grow my customer base, and I'm not adding IT people. I'm adding sales people. I'm doing digital marketing. I'm investing in the business. I'm not investing in the cost of the business. I'm investing in the growth of the business. And that's what we're trying to do, is like, automation will allow you to invest in the growth of the business and allow you to drive profitability in your existing business so you can invest in the growth of your business. Nobody's looking to scale back their business. Everybody wants to scale up their business. You're not going to do it if you keep adding a bunch of IT people.
I'm curious to see, I know you said Jim Lippy and, the Augment guys. I mean, at some point there's got to be some sort of alerting and some sort of ticket management, right? When something happens. I mean,
well, Jim and his team are doing a great job of that, right? That's kind of what, and I've talked with Jim, I talked with Derek, and, we all kind of, we just look at this huge problem, and I think we're all pretty progressive about going after it and solving it. And, with Jim, it's like, he's like, look, I want to do monitoring and alerting and just focus on that because there's so much for me to do. I'm like, dude, take it. It's like, have at it. Because you know what? Anybody can do anything, but we got too much on our plate. And so, we're big fans of Jim and those guys. And then, like I said, Derek and the guys over at Augment are doing some really great work around just license optimization, cost management, and tons of analytics. And again, there's so much work to do there. So I think the three of us really are kind of trying to build a better environment for the next generation of MSP and surviving and thriving in the world of cloud. And I think we're all trying to build technologies to really help them.
Yeah. So in your crystal ball, this all comes together, what, 2025?
In terms of
like right now, there's still like, if you look at 100% of where things are, right? I mean, the cloud's definitely there, but there's still the majority is still non-cloud, right? I mean, it's clearly going that way. I think last year fast forwarded that whole conversation. I don't think I agree with that, but I mean, we're still a few years out from the needle finally flipping to the other direction, I think.
Yeah, but SaaS is growing. It was about 150 billion or so, growing at 15 to 17% compounded annual growth rate. You got to sit there and ask yourself, as a service provider or an end customer, why do I need to stay on-prem?
Mm-hmm.
Why? And how the world's changed and how businesses are run and how people do work, how you manage. I mean, if everybody in that ecosystem benefits from moving to the cloud. I mean, look, there's always going to be some component of on-prem. I get that. In the world of most MSPs, I question if that needs to be a viable thing long term. Enterprise, Fortune 500, Fortune 100s, probably different animal to a degree, but I think quite honestly they're going to be hybrid. I mean, there's going to be a combination of the two. Pure on-prem.
I think pure on-prem is not happening. I think at the very least, Office 365 is somewhere in the mix. And at that, I know that that's not fair to call that just cloud, but I mean, I think now whoever's still running an on-prem Exchange server, you got to ask yourself why, right? That much.
Pointless. Yeah. Microsoft ain't going to help you. They're not interested in keeping you on-prem. So I mean, it's interesting. We're, like I said, being kind of a new person in this world, learned a lot over the last number of years, and it's a pretty fascinating time for this industry, quite honestly. It's pretty exciting. And like I said, I think, from the managed service provider perspective, there is a transition that needs to happen, is going to happen, and it is happening. And all we're trying to do, guys like myself and the SaaS Alerts guys, the Augment guys, we're just trying to help everyone through that transition. right? And build best products we can possible to allow them to kind of deliver the level of experience in the cloud that they did on-prem.
Yeah, I agree. No, I mean, Brian, you've painted a very clear picture. You really have. I mean, the reality is that everybody's knows that the arrow is going that way. The bus is going down that road. I think a lot of people have bet that it was going more slow than a lot of people thought it was. And then 2020 hit, and I think that the gas pedal got the cinder block put on top of it, speed edition. And I think right now, listen, the end customer at the end of the day, I mean, other than looking at the headlines and seeing, pipelines and solar winds and crypto, whatever, they really don't like, as long as it works, right?
Right.
Do they really ask the MSP, how are you delivering these services? But when they start reaching pain, that's when they start raising their hand, right?
100%. Yeah,
So,
no, 100%. I mean, it's the cool thing about actually working with service providers, like I said, just kind of learn over time, is that they get actively involved in trying to figure things out because they're tech people, right? So, it's kind of cool when you're working with tech folks. They empathize with you because of the challenges, in trying to build products like what we do. But they also get excited about it, and they're able to embrace it because they understand the impact of it when they see it. But yeah, no, it's kind of fascinating what's going on, and it's fun. It's a fun place to be right now. I feel, and I know the other guys from the other companies I talk about feel the same way. We just think there's tremendous opportunity, and there's a lot at stake for the service provider community, and I think there's built-in motivation for them, I think, to help guys like us succeed, because it'll help them succeed.
100% agree. So for everyone that is watching this, will watch this, Nuvolex.com, sales@nuvolex.com. There's a form on the website you could submit, I'm sure, for some more information. But it sounds like these guys are in it. They're all 120% on the table, right? They're trying to build this vision. Take a look. It looks like Frank already raised his hand, so you may have already got a win from that. But take a look. I mean, if it's priced away per engineer, what do you got to lose? I mean, it's basically a no-brainer at that way. The way that
Yeah, that's what we try to make it, and the more partners that take advantage of what we do, it allows us to keep our pricing the way it is, right? Because it's just a numbers game, right? And we just want to build more. There's so much to do, and we know exactly what we got to go do. It's execution. But now we're pretty excited, and look, we appreciate the PAX 8 guys put us on the map. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be talking to anybody. And then any opportunity we have, because I think probably one of the worst parts of what we're doing, or our business in Nuvolex in particular, is not a lot of people know about us. Put a lot of money in dev, but we probably haven't done a great job marketing Nuvolex. So opportunities to talk to communities like yourself and the MSP community, we're always very appreciative of that opportunity.
No, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on board today. Thanks everyone for watching this. This whole session was recorded. You can find that at mspinitiative.com under sessions. Feel free to go back, rewind, fast forward, download. You know how now to reach out to Brian and his team. Don't hesitate to go watch, some of their videos so you can see some of the stuff in action. Sounds like 2 or 3 or 4 minutes out of your time will probably give you a good idea what's happening. And for everyone that's working with PAX 8, and we know that they're a driving force in the MSP world, I believe Nuvolex is inside of their partner kind of marketplace as well. So obviously you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Go to the same place, and there they'll be. And hey, Brian, I'm excited for you. I am. I think that you got the right view on it, and I really feel like you're right. There's so much to build. There's so little time, and if you get the right, if you continue to get the support behind you, yeah, I mean, this is a challenge that you weren't led down the wrong path, right? The people that were around you told you the right thing, and I think it hasn't gotten any easier. It's only compounding, right? So
it's gonna get worse. It's only gonna get worse. So look, we're excited, and tell your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys. Remember to come back Tuesdays, Thursdays, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Remember Channel Strong Tour if you're in the Midwest. Next 2 weeks, we're coming to you. And don't forget to go to mspinitiative.com, check sessions, check giveaway, throw your name in the hat. Brian, catch you on the flip side, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks for the time. Thanks, everyone.
You got it. Cheers.
Cheers.